Hello there and welcome to Reflo'S TV. Thank you so much for joining us here once again on another episode. This is your girl, Reflo'S Church Girl, and I come your way once again with another conversation. But do not forget that this video is powered by Reflo'S TV and Reflo'S Sanitary pads. Your well-being is the number one priority because you deserve the best. And also do not forget that I am no expert on this topic. I bring you my perspective on this very subject matter. Now, today's topic, an interesting one, of course. Does sex have the same meaning to both men and women? Does sex have the same meaning to both men and women? And let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, to me, I believe that people have different perspectives when it comes to sex, and talking about procreation, talking about bonding, love, passion, abstention, and all the reasons people cite in support of sex or opposition to sex. I believe that people will view sex based on their own experiences and based on a lot of reasons, and that is what I come your way with today. Now, first of all, I believe that people's perspective on sex will be based on the morals, what they think is morally right or wrong as far as sex is concerned. Now, looking at various religious sects, I can speak for the Islamic religion and the Christianity. I believe that these people believe that sex should only be had within the confines of marriage. For these people, when sex is had outside the confines of marriage, it is not morally upright. And so when you find people who belong to these religions and subscribe to these ideologies or this particular ideology of sex to be had within the confines of marriage, you would find that that person may consider sex that has been had within the confines of marriage as morally right, and one that is had outside of the confines of marriage as morally wrong. So you hear people talk about fornication. Fornicating means sex being had before marriage. You find people talk about adultery. Adultery meaning people who are married but are still able to go outside of the context of their marital homes and have sex elsewhere. At the end of the day, it's about how morally upright or wrong the people view the subject of sex. Another thing I also believe that will inform people's point of view or perspective on sex is what they consider to be virtuous. Now, even looking at the context of marriages, there are people who would even want to have sex in a certain way. Now, I believe you've heard stories where people are in formal relationships, people are in sexual relationships, people are an item, and they even consider certain things non-virtuous. I mean, certain things with respect to sex, non-virtuous. Now, in formal relationships or in sexual relationships, sometimes you hear people complain about certain sex styles they believe are good, but their partners are not willing to subscribe to. When you open your television sets or your radio sets and during some of these relationship programs, sometimes you hear some of these complaints of people coming to say, I am with my partner and I want us to try this style, and my partner is saying they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. Now, within some of these relationships, these people are already having sex, but even within that context or contextual sexual relationship, they believe that there are certain things that are to be done and there are certain things that are not to be done. They believe that there are certain borders that you cannot cross as far as sex is concerned. For other people, they believe that sex is about intimacy. Sex is about the bonding, the mating with the individual that you're having that relationship with. And so it doesn't matter whatever style you want to bring on board. Insofar as they are bonding with their partner, they are having sex. And this boils down to what each individual considers as virtuous? What style does what individual consider as virtuous within that sexual relationship? This is one of the elements I believe informs or determines people's perspectives or point of view as far as sex is concerned. Another reason I believe also does influence people's perspective of sex is their orientation. People are coming from backgrounds where the mention of sex is a taboo. And I believe so many of us can relate to this thing I'm talking about. In certain jurisdictions, in certain homes, you cannot mention sex to your mother. You cannot mention sex in the presence of your parents. So most of these people, the subject of sex is alien to them until they go out of the confines of their homes and hear it from their friends, maybe hear it on media, traditional media, social media, or maybe school. For these people, they have been oriented in a certain way for them to believe that sex is a taboo. Even when they find themselves in marriage, it is very difficult for them to talk about sex. And these people cannot be blamed because that is how they have been brought up. Culturally, socially, that is how they have been oriented. Sex is not a subject that can be talked about anyhow. The sanctity of sex is so much important to them that they cannot discuss it. They cannot, in their whole, whatever mood they may be in, discuss it freely with other people. These people's perspective on sex is based on the cultural upbringing or their orientation as a whole. Now, finally, I believe that one thing that importantly affects people's point of view in respect of sex is their experience. What is a person's history of sex? I know of someone who at a very tender age, unfortunately, was exposed to rape. And after whatever therapy this person went through, this person never comes to terms with sex. The mention of sex is something that puts this person away. And for such a person, you realize that it is just not because they do not like to hear the subject of sex or anything at all, but it is based on their history, their past experiences. And this affects them emotionally, it affects them psychologically, and it determines whatever response that they elicit when the subject of sex is mentioned. So in a nutshell, I believe that men and women or people generally have several meanings or perspectives when the subject of sex is mentioned. And this is based on several reasons. One, what do they consider morally right? Two, what do they consider as virtuous? Three, what is their cultural upbringing? What is their orientation? And four, what is their history? What is their experience as far as sex is concerned? I do not know what you think, but whatever reason you ascribe as far as sex is concerned, however you view sex, I believe that at the end of the day is based on your own judgment. Do not forget to leave your comments in our comments section on this subject. We would want to know what you think about this subject. Do not also forget to subscribe to our page, Reflo'S TV, here on YouTube. Share, like, and call on other people to come feed on our content. We'll come to you same time next Monday with another exciting episode. It's a bye.